Okay, something from my Blunder through Blender notebook, how to bake in a Vertex Paint texture map. So I'm going to delete the cube, and I'm going to delete the light, and okay, the camera's there. I'm going to add an icosphere. There's an icosphere. So an icosphere has a lot of little points on it, as you can tell if you go into edit mode. Those are the vertices. And so if I wanted to paint on it using Vertex Paint, which is here, and pick a color, let's say blue, then it's only going to paint those vertices. So when you try to paint, that's what you're going to get. Make this a little smaller, right? So that's not going to give you a great picture. So let me go back into object mode and let me add a modifier and make it a generate a subdivision surface and make it smoother by increasing the levels. So that gives me a little bit more. Now when I go back into Vertex Paint, as you can see, it's still not doing that. Why? Because I didn't apply it. So then when I apply it, now I've got the ability to paint those vertices. And if I wanted to make the earth, then I could grab a color for, say, land, and then make my South America there, and make my North America here. Now the only issue here is, of course, is the resolution high enough? And the question is answered by how powerful your computer is, because if I go and I make it even more subdivided, I'll have a much higher resolution, of course. So if I go back to that subdivision surface and now bring it up again, now I have a much smoother surface, which you can see if I toggle here, and you can keep adding subdivisions, and see, that's really dense mesh, but that's going to mess you up when you try to paint, because it's going to get really slow. Let's see that. Huh. It's like not doing anything, is it? Let's see. Nope. So sometimes you cut yourself in the foot. Shoot yourself in the foot. So I'm going to start a new general, and don't save that. Let's try this again. Let's add the icosphere, and let us go to a subdivision surface by adding a modifier, and bring this up. Let's do it with this so we can see it. Does it actually show up here? No, it doesn't, so you'll be deceiving yourself. Let's go to that level there, and then let's apply it. Let's try now, going into Vertex Paint, picking a blue color. So yes, we can grow the radius of this to cover the world. Let's just paint that. And go on the other side and paint the world there. So now we've got our ocean being painted. Could have just made the whole thing blue, but we're playing with texture paint. So, right, then go to the greenish that we wanted and make our brush smaller and smaller. Okay, and then we can get our South America kind of thing happening. Going up to California to the United States. My mouse is giving me tremendous problems here. But anyway, Florida there, all sorts of things. So it would help if I knew geography. Whatever. Okay. And then the rest of the Earth has been claimed by global warming and sea level rise now. Just the idea that you can paint on here is cool. Maybe Africa's supposed to be a lot bigger. And then you got Europe and whatever going around there. And this is a useful exercise to test yourself on what you know about the Earth. But all we want to do now is just show how to bake this texture in, if we were baking this texture in. So just one more quick thing to make it more Earth-like. We'll go to the South Antarctica and make Antarctica down here. So we have Antarctica down here. And let's put a North Pole, which should be much smaller every year that you do this, unfortunately. All right. So the real thing is, how then do we bake this? Because if you go back to object mode, you see nothing. And you won't be able to do anything with it. So let's go back to object mode for a second. And let's give this object a material, because it has no material. And I'll call the material Earth, matte, Earth material. And I'm going to also go into the shading. And here I'm going to add input color attribute and plug that in. And there's our Earth now suddenly shows up, which is cool because it's color attribute. And then I'm going to see if I remember this. I'm going to go up to the rendering and leave Eevee and go to cycles. And then from cycles, I'm going to go down to bake. And then from bake, I'm going to do diffuse for the color. I don't need lighting. I'm going to keep the color. And rather than target the image texture, I'm going to target the color attribute, because that is what I've used to get my image in there. Right? I can look at this under layout, and you can see that it's showing up now. But if I now, in bake, target that as my output and view from, that's fine. Let's see what happens when I hit bake. Yes, it baked it. Now, how do you tell that it baked it? Because you can take your Earth and go to export as a GLTF, GLB. Let's call it Earth Test. And let me put this in my 3D objects folder. This Earth Test. And then when you go to open up and just click on it through 3D Viewer, there it is. It has that texture baked into it. And that means you can bring it into Unity, or you can bring it into any game engine that you like, or bring it into Spatial. So that is how you bake a Vertex paint. Next we will look at painting with texture paint. This was using Vertex Paint. And by the way, you can go back, I guess, and continue to add stuff to it. So if you want to put, that was a bit big, wasn't it? Let me undo that. If you want to come in here and sort of paint a cordillera, let's paint some mountains or something in here, or you want to put in deserts. You can continue to paint if you want to put Australia in over here somewhere. Of course, Australia's desert. So have fun with that, because then once you've done that, then naturally you can always re-bake it. And then after you've re-baked it, then you can re-export it. And then when you go to open it, it has the new stuff that you added to it. So you can have fun painting in 3 dimensions. Pretty cool. All right.